Hello everyone, my name's David. Welcome to Wax Gamer. Today I am excited to bring you this exclusive interview with Jona, co-founder of Pink GG. So without further ado, let's hop into it. Mining all we can on the land. What's the plan when you got the TLM in your hand, huh? Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being here with us today. We are happy to be joined by Jona, co-founder of Pink GG. How are you doing today, sir?
Doing very good. Thanks for having me.
Well, it's very good to have you. And you're almost like the man behind the curtain, if you will. Some of the projects that you're working on, per se, are like a critical linchpin between some of these wax projects and their communities and how they can get a hold of the NFTs. Do you care to maybe talk a little bit about that and kind of what you guys have going on over there?
Yeah, sure. So like Pink GG, which is probably a name that very few people even know, is just our company that we when I say we, it's me and my co-founder Fabian that we founded around 1.5 years ago, just because we wanted to do something in the wax ecosystem. And then we sort of stumbled into the NFT space because we wanted to build an own NFT-based game. We noticed NFT standards that existed at the time didn't fit our needs. So we decided to build our own NFT standard, which is atomic assets. On top of that, we knew we had to build some sort of platform for it, which is Atomic Hub. So we built Atomic Hub as well, launched both of that, and then never had any time to actually build a game. So now we're just focused on building Atomic Hub and building out the ecosystem.
I can imagine that just that project alone keeps you like busy, maybe 27 hours a day.
Yeah, about that.
That is awesome to hear. So could you maybe explain the process of NFT creation for those who might be unfamiliar with it?
Yeah, so like on Atomic Hub, we have an NFT creator, which makes this reasonably easy. I say reasonably easy because I know that's a lot we can still improve, but essentially people just log in with their Wax Cloud wallet or Wax wallet like Anchor. They log in on Atomic Hub, hit the NFT creator. First, they create a collection, which is sort of like the big group that they want to put their NFTs in. Then they create their schema, which is a little too technical right now. It's essentially the data structure for the NFTs, but you can think of it as a subcategory where you define what attributes your NFTs should have. So after you created the schema, then you can actually get to creating your NFTs. Where essentially you just choose a name, you upload an image, can choose other attributes if you want to, you click mint, and then it's just there, it just exists in this decentralized universe on Wax.
Yeah, that's really cool. And how does how does your whitelisting process work over there? I'm sure there's a lot of people interested in that, and there's so many artists emerging every day. I can only imagine that the requests you get are just overwhelming at the moment. But how do you go about deciding, which one of these projects to whitelist and kind of which ones not to?
Yeah, so like initially this started out with just us whitelisting the projects that we thought like were cool and added value. That doesn't scale very well, this sort of process. In the beginning, people just DM'd us on Telegram. That just doesn't work anymore. So now we have, I think, 4 people actually working on support tickets, which include these whitelist requests where people can like include information about their collection, and then they decide if they should be whitelisted or not. And basically, we don't want to be the gatekeepers here. Like, we don't want to push our beliefs onto this.
The 4 gatekeepers.
Yeah, in a way, it is a gatekeeper, but we want to be very open in that we allow almost anything that is like high quality art and original. Like that's the biggest thing. It should be original, and then usually we don't have any problems whitelisting it. So usually there's some proof of that involved. So maybe people like share a screenshot of their Photoshop file or whatever. But that's basically what we're looking for. We want to do some very basic quality control, but mostly we want to make sure that the NFTs and the artwork that they use is original, and then we whitelist it.
Absolutely, and I guess that protects people from I guess you guys as well from having like copyrighted material and such showing up on the network.
Yeah, and the primary motivation for us was actually not really as a quality control, but rather just to discourage like obvious scam and fake collections, which we still do see happening. Like people create collections and essentially just copy artwork from popular collections like Alien Worlds, for example, and they create fakes essentially. But because they're not whitelisted, there's a big red warning telling everyone, like, be careful. Unfortunately, some people still fall for it, but we're doing our best to make the warnings as big as they can be, and like that's the main motivation why we need this whitelisting process, so that not everyone can just start minting their bullshit.
Yeah,
Essentially,
absolutely.
they need to go through that process first.
Yeah, you don't want to see a whitelisted fake Alien Worlds collection out there. That wouldn't be good for anybody.
That wouldn't be great.
No, it wouldn't be good for anybody. Yeah, I agree. Okay, I like what you're doing over there. Another question about this. Okay, so like it seems like the collections, like on the left, when you're within the Atomic Assets marketplace, they're ranked by, I guess, total sales. And if not, can you kind of explain how that left, sidebar works there?
Yeah, it's right now it's just sorted by 72-hour market volume. So essentially, of the last 72 hours, we just sum up all the market volume. Highest volume is at the top, which I think like makes sense in general, because if there's a lot of trading activity, then people are probably interested in it. Although we have like some plans probably for the far future, because it's quite complicated, but essentially we would like to build something that from social media as like this hot NFTs or something, where we have some magic algorithm that decides which NFTs should be displayed. We have some ideas for that, because like we don't want to just show you all the latest Alien Worlds listings. Maybe you want to see some variety, and for that we probably need that in the long term. And so maybe that changes. Right now it's just market volume.
That sounds exciting, though. I like that. Yeah, like a hot NFTs list or something. Yeah, sounds really cool. Okay, so let me ask you this: do you have so sorry here? Oh, any suggestions for people considering starting an NFT project?
I would just suggest to try it out. Like honestly, I know that a lot of people have, like when they first start, they believe it must be complicated, probably because they've seen it on Ethereum where it's really complicated, and they just have in the back of their mind, oh, this is not for me. It's too expensive, too complicated. Whereas it really isn't. And like you can just create your cloud wallet. You can probably even get to creating your first few NFTs completely for free, but then you might need to buy some RAM, but then you spent like $1 worth of RAM, and you're good for your next few hundred NFTs. And like once again, it's not an ideal process right now on Atomic Hub, but still it's not that daunting that you can't try. I would suggest to just try it out, and then most people usually realize, oh, this isn't actually that hard.
Yeah, absolutely. If I can do it, anybody can do it. Like my first few, I didn't have a template. I didn't realize it. I was like, oh, we can use this template. It was so now my NFTs look so much nicer. And a couple of you guys were actually nice enough to help me out with that. I think you referenced me to an article that kind of walks you through using the template and stuff like that. And I appreciate that. And but yeah. So let me ask you this then. Okay. So do you have any plans in the future? This is a big question I get from people. This is like a little bit of community feedback. Do you have any plans in the future to allow people to transact in other tokens, like Trillium, for example?
We actually like discussed that. We actually also discussed that with Michael from Alien Worlds. We suggested that it might be an option at some point. We haven't come to a conclusion yet. In general, we want to be sure to not just add anything, because it would just, in our opinion, it would first of all create separate marketplaces, which perhaps makes them weaker individually, unless it's something that really adds value, where Trillium might add value. And then also we want to be sure that the user experience stays good. Like if we just add 10 tokens there, people are just confused. So we want to make sure that still works, but it's an option like further down the line.
Absolutely. Okay. So about 4 or 5 people there will be very happy to at least hear the answer to that, because I get questions about that all the time. Okay, another question for you, if you don't mind. A friend and I both have the same issue with the template we created. We created a template within our whitelisted collections, and like for whatever reason, our image came out blank at the end of it. And I was wondering, so we just recreated the template, and second time it came out fine. And I was wondering if there's any plans in the future, or if there are any current tools that I'm just overlooking, to where we can maybe remove those templates, or just kind of have them, expelled from our collections per se.
Yeah, right now there's not, and like there's a fairly complicated technical reason why it's not really possible to do. It's difficult, and I think it would be too much to get into that. I would just confuse everyone, because requires a pretty deep knowledge in how the smart contract works. But essentially, just erasing them isn't so easy. Like
it's
the
out
other
once it's
option
out
would
there,
be
it's out there.
another option would be to like just hide it from Atomic Hub, which is something that we considered, that maybe we can just hide templates or allow creators to hide specific templates that don't have any NFTs minted yet. Like once they have NFTs minted, it wouldn't be fair to hide them, because on Atomic Hub, like we want to display everything there is. But if there aren't any NFTs minted, then maybe we can hide them in the future. But I think this also really comes down to just us improving the NFT creator experience, because the very reason why so many like failed templates exist is because the NFT creator experience isn't great. And like, for example, with the images, sometimes it just doesn't work properly, which is like a lot of that we can address just by making the NFT creator better, which is like, it has been on our to-do list for forever now, but I'm fairly confident that we'll finally be able to get to it pretty soon, and then like have an improved NFT creator that guides you through the process a lot more, and that like tells you and shows you that you might be doing something wrong before you hit that mint button, and
like
then you can just correct the mistake before you actually make it.
I like that, but please don't take that as a criticism of the current NFT creator. I feel like it actually does a pretty good job of walking you through, especially if you have that Medium article that's out there that kind of walks you through it, and you can use it in tandem with that. But yeah, I'm sure, like you said, something even more easy for the everyday average user wouldn't be a bad idea either.
Yeah.
So one more question for you here, and then if you don't mind, we'll take a few questions from the audience at the end. But are there any projects you follow or collect yourself?
I follow lots of them, obviously, like just by being in this ecosystem. I don't actually collect anything myself usually, which is like, I'm involved in a lot of them, and I feel like obviously the smart contracts are like provably fair, but that wouldn't stop people from accusing me of stuff. If I just like, imagine I open a pack and get this ultra rare one of Run Mint just because I'm really lucky, and all of a sudden there's these conspiracy theories out there which like think that I'm rigging the system. I just don't want to get into this at all, so I'm just like on the sidelines watching everyone else have the fun, and I'm just spectating.
So as envious as most everyone is of your position, then you share like equal envy to the community for their position of being able to enjoy all the fun, huh?
Yeah, like I think that's probably a common theme of like people that create something. I know for like game developers, it's like a big thing. They create the game of their dreams, but then they are the ones that have to fix all the bugs and go through all the tedious stuff and can't actually enjoy it. It's probably sort of like that, but at the same time, like just the process of building everything, seeing everything work out, like even without me collecting it, is just fun, very fun as well.
Yeah, I can imagine that's very fulfilling as well. Absolutely. Well, Jonah, thanks for answering my questions. Now, here's where the show gets a little rocky sometimes. We're going to hand it over to GVM and see what the audience, and it's not the audience, it's just GVM's, I guess his handling of these questions don't always come out as smooth as we'd like. GVM, you want to take it away, brother?
With an intro like that, I mean, of
I'm
course.
just being silly. So you know we love you.
Thanks. People are curious if you could speak to any of the upgrades and additions that Atomic Hub is working on rolling out.
Yeah, like one thing, NFT creator, and it's like I've mentioned this so often, like in previous interviews, I've also mentioned it because it's been on our roadmap for so long, and then like there's always other things coming up. But I really believe that we can get there soon. So an improved NFT creator, then a proper creator for atomic drops, which like NFT blocks has already sort of done, which is kind of cool. So people can use NFT blocks right now, but we want to make sure that we integrate it into Atomic Hub properly. Also a creator for the packs, which also NFT blocks has sort of done already, but we want to make sure to also include that on Atomic Hub. Then we have ideas of like a better collection page, where right now, if you just want people to sort of, if you want to show people your collection, there isn't really a good like site to do that, right? So that's something that we want to build, where like maybe there's some showcase, maybe there's some text, maybe it shows next upcoming drops, it shows all the packs available, something like this. That's something that we want to build. Like, for example, we also have plans to improve the homepage, where right now it's like, I think it's kind of cool to just see the stats. At least for me, that's cool. But I think we can improve that to maybe have also some like upcoming launches, some news there, so that people can like stay informed directly on Atomic Hub. That's something that I would love to have in the future. And then perhaps even outside of Atomic Hub, where right now Atomic Hub is really focused on like collectible collections, mostly, like where you have lots and lots of NFTs that people then collect. But fine art NFTs sort of are just drowned out in the Atomic Hub experience. And we would really like to build like a special or a separate experience that then really caters this fine art market, where it's perhaps more familiar to someone who has already used Ethereum marketplaces. They really focus on these high value single one-of-one NFTs. And I think we can do that as well with a separate experience. So that's like long-term goal. We also want to do that. And then, I don't know, lots of things. I'm sure if I just get our to-do list out, we're not running out anytime soon.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
So amazing. People were curious if you could talk to the times around the atomic drops tend to be like a tough moment for Wax. If there's anything you could speak to about that, or any plans to help alleviate that.
Well, I think it's already improved a lot from what it was. Like that's perhaps people new to the ecosystem, they see how it is now. Like, it was worse back then. Like, we had some launches which are way smaller than today's launches, which already brought the system to its knees. So like, just optimizing that has been a huge task, that and a huge like sink of working hours that we spend a lot of energy to get the scale ready. And then also, it's like, when you're using the cloud wallet, you have another thing that can fail. Like, the cloud wallet also usually struggles when there are big launches and thousands of people click the button at the very same time. Like, understandably, they struggle then. So maybe you can just use Anchor Wallet or something that is self-managed for these launches to perhaps go away from that. And then, like, apart from that, we certainly know, like, the experience, it's better, but it's not great yet. And we want to improve it. And it's also like down to the way the drops work. People are trying to snipe the low mints, essentially. They try to be the first ones. And if they aren't the first ones, they're understandably upset. So I think rethinking how that system works, like, perhaps NFT Blocks, I think, is doing it with pre-minted drops. It is something that we're looking at as well, but also like possible queue systems or something like this. Like, we are looking at solutions to just hopefully get away from this situation where everyone is trying to click the button the fastest, and then everyone who isn't the fastest is upset afterwards. Like, it's just, you can never win there, sort of. Like, if they don't sell out, people are upset. If they do sell out, some people haven't gotten what they want, and then they are upset. And we try our best to get a system where less people are upset after launches.
Yeah, it's kind of like concert tickets.
Yeah.
A couple of people want to know, I'm not sure what they mean exactly, but they're curious how your advertising plans are going and how the platform's prepared for the growth of the chain to the public.
Well, I think that's probably two questions. And advertising, I guess that goes both ways, right? Like, one is how we advertise Atomic Hub, which is not at all. Like, we're in the very fortunate position where we just build it, and then all the projects surrounding it, all the projects that build on Atomic assets, they usually promote Atomic Hub, which is like this great synergy, because like, they get a cool platform. We can just focus on building the platform, making that better, and they handle advertising. Although it's something like we want to tackle marketing more seriously, and we're like hiring people for that. On the other side, like advertising, how people can advertise their collections on Atomic Hub, where this is something where probably like collection pages can come in, and this hotness sorting perhaps, which can then display and better showcase particular collections, which like right now, there's not a good way to do that. Right now, people just have to build their community on their own, and Atomic Hub doesn't really help them with that. Atomic Hub is just its last step. But I think we can very much improve that to like a place where Atomic Hub is more involved in actually getting new users to and new people to view your collections, which actually is something that I didn't mention that we also want to build, is like a more refined chat system where people could chat on Atomic Hub. And I think it would benefit trading. I think it could benefit like perhaps even creating group chats on Atomic Hub. I don't know. But that could come. And now actually to the second part, which I think is the second part of the question, how Atomic Hub or Wax in general is prepared for like even more traffic in the future. And like as it becomes more mainstream, as more people flock in. I like the great thing that I can already say, like we're already way better off than like pretty much any other NFT experience. Our user numbers are already way higher than they are on Ethereum. They're, like we already handle way more transactions than on Ethereum, and we have quite a bit more capacity to like just have more transactions on Wax, have more things happening on Wax. And like I know that there are like all these guilds, like these block producers on Wax, they're obviously seeing this. They're making a fair bit of money right now, so they have a good incentive, which like is not meant as a dig, which I think it's great that now guilds are actually making money and they have like the money to allocate resources to make Wax better. So like these guilds are incentivized to optimize their machines as much as they can. And also like just think of long-term solutions to perhaps like at some point start thinking about side chains. I think that's not out of the question. Perhaps even like unloading the biggest DApps like Alien Worlds. They can also like move a lot of their transaction intensive actions. Like a lot of what they're doing requires a lot of transactions. They could move that to separate architecture at some point. Like right now, it's still working out reasonably well, but like that's something we can think about in the future. But I mean, like I don't have a solution right now, but I'm pretty confident that when it comes to that, we will be able to figure out solutions to scale it even better.
That's awesome. Dave, I think that's about all we got.
Well, I have one last question. How does one go from like being whitelisted to fully verified on your platform? And I'm not wanting to know for myself, but I get this question all the time, and I'm just curious how that process works, how you choose the chosen few.
Yeah, that's probably the hardest thing to do at the moment, because like it's usually the process is people reach out to us, and please don't all reach out to me after this call. I already get enough DMs, please don't. But people reach out to us and basically just ask, and we don't have fixed criteria. It's like really hard for us to define what a verified collection should be. Like there's some things like one, it should be reputable in some way. So if perhaps a big public figure, like a big personality stands behind it, like someone very well known, then that obviously helps a lot. Like it's a lot about reputation and trust. Then the collection itself should be high quality. Like artwork should be high quality. It should be well thought out.
For himself.
Perhaps that, yeah.
Go Wax.
I mean, like one thing that's great is like you're out there showing your face, all of that. Like we want to really make sure that we can actually trust the collections not to do stupid stuff. And if people if people like put their face behind the project, then that really helps a lot. Whereas if they're just anonymous, then who knows what they're up to, right? Like it doesn't mean that anonymous creators can't get verified, but it certainly helps if you're like out there and then publicly show your face. Then, as I said, it should be high quality. Like that's obvious. It should be like, if you look at the collection, you should just see like a lot of effort went into that. It's well thought out. It just makes sense. And then it's also just down to the community. Like we want to see that there's like a lot of interest in the collection, that there are people collecting it, people trading it, all of that. And I
like
think
Star,
in the
like
long
Star
term,
Cards, for example. Like Star Cards, for example. They have a nice community around their project, and they do a great job with their drops. Their art's high quality, so you want to see good stuff like that.
yeah, and I think in the long term we probably have to I think make it fairer is probably a wrong word, because we're really trying to be fair, but it's still at the end of the day, it comes down to, do Fabian and I like the collection and think it should be verified, which is perhaps not as objective as it could be. We really struggle to define objective criteria, but
And what sort of
could
art?
see it.
What sort of
I
art
could
do you
see it
guys like?
being.
I'm just
Well,
being
we
silly.
really try.
I know.
We try not to. We try to not be subjective in that. We
I
try
know.
to just look at it.
That's
Yeah,
funny.
it's difficult. It's difficult, honestly.
I'm sure it is.
We're trying our best. It should also be a lot of people contact us and tell us oh, if we could just get this verification, then our community would explode and it would be so great. And to that, I can just say maybe, but if your biggest selling point is just being verified, that's probably not great. You should be able to do all of that without being verified.
Mm-hmm.
And then once that happens, then a verification comes. It's first it should be awesome, then it gets verified. It should become awesome just because we verify it.
I like that. Yeah, put in the work and you might be rewarded out there, people. You heard it here from Jona right here today. And GVM, do you have anything else before we hop out? I got that question in for you, though. So in order for you to get verified like that, you're going to have to cut your hair and show your face on one of these things one day, brother.
I don't have a face for video. It's a problem for me. We'll find a way.
A face only a mother could love.
Jona, thank you so much for the time. This was really informative. Dave, thanks again.
Thank you. Jona, thanks for being here. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for being here. Jona, let's hear it for Jona from Pink GG. Thanks for being here today with us, sir. And maybe at some point in the future, we can catch up with you again.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you. I really enjoyed it. Thanks for having me here.
Thanks. That was fun. All right, everybody. Have a good day out there. Now that was an exciting interview. If you found it informative, please consider giving the channel a subscribe, and don't forget you can always catch us on the web at waxgamer.com. Catch up with everyone soon. Mining all we can on the land. What's a plan when you got the TLM in your hand, huh?